It's Monday, Doc is here, FIFI is coming. It'll be so cool to see both of them here at the air show, and they're gonna fly in formation together at 2 air shows. I think it's gonna be really awesome. All right, so we're in the cockpit of Doc, and it's pretty amazing, restored after over a decade of work.
Doc was built in December of 1944, delivered to the Army Air Corps in March of 45. Went to a radar training squadron called the Snow White Squadron, Snow White, the Seven Dwarfs, and the Wicked Witch.
Doc.
And as Doc, so Doc gets to fly under his original moniker.
And specifically the B-29 was something that the government called for because they knew they were going to go to Japan. So they needed something that could fly higher and faster and further than they had in the arsenal.
In 1956, Doc was flown to the desert of China Lake, California to be used as target practice for the U.S. Navy. In 1987, about 30 years later, Tony located the B-29.
Well, of course, for decades, FIFI was the only B-29 flying, really for the last 40 or 50 years.
I heard that there was some B-29s used in Aberdeen Proving Grounds in Maryland, as well as China Lake Naval Weapons Centers. Someone contacted me back and said there is one left. We finally had to go to the Secretary of the Navy to get a waiver not to cut this airplane up. Me being the eternal optimist, thinking that I could patch it up and fly it out of there, but after sitting in the desert for 42 years, it left its mark on this airplane.
After 12 years of working to obtain ownership, Tony finally pulled Doc out of the desert. He soon realized it needed more work than initially thought. Doc was dismantled and moved to Wichita, Kansas, where the 16-year restoration project got underway.
I was just determined. I said, where there's a will, there's a way.
I'll tell you what, if Tony tells you he's going to do something, you take that to the bank.
I'm with Joyce and Wes Lumry. They're from Wichita, Kansas, and Wes worked for 16 years on Doc and helped get it all put together.
The last count we had, there was a little over 350,000 hours of volunteer work to rebuild this airplane.
We had to replace all the pulleys in the airplane. There's 970 pulleys in this airplane. There's miles of cabling in the airplane. We had to rewire the entire airplane. There is so much that we did to it that it would take weeks to tell you about it.
Everything in the cockpit is original. We've got some moving map equipment which we currently have stowed, but the instrument panels are for the most part original. We do have more modern radio equipment, but our flight engineer had all of the instruments to control the aircraft, and so he managed the aircraft and the pilots pointed it where it needed to go. An original Norden bomb sight.
What's it like being behind the controls there?
Well, it's a very heavy on the controls, almost ponderous when you're flying the airplane because they're not boosted in any way. There's no hydraulic assist as you would have with an airliner. It's all just cables going out to these massive control surfaces, and you as the pilot have to fly it just with muscle.
We finally completed the restoration. The Navy came up and approved, inspected the airplane, approved it, and they gave me the title to the B-29.
And how did you feel when they handed that over?
Well, I was absolutely thrilled. As far as I know, I was the only civilian that had a title to a B-29.
The significance of this, what would you compare it to?
It's an aviation unicorn. I mean, there's very rarely going to be a time that you see 2 of these together. They're antiquated, they've been put in boneyards, or they've been hung in museums.
So to have 2 of them flying simultaneously is just a tremendous feat, and I'm going to be very excited to be a part of it.
I can't even explain the feeling. It's very uplifting, it's very emotional, and I'm just anxious for the 2 to get together and see each other again, and eventually have fly in formation together, which I understand is supposed to happen tomorrow.
This is the historic moment. It's the first time in more than 50 years that 2 of the Superfortresses have flown side by side.
I never thought I would see this day, but if it hadn't been for Tony, we wouldn't be here. Well, I was 18 years old, and I went to going because I had heard that they needed some women to work because all the men were in the war effort. So I said, I want to be a riveter. So then they sent me to the plant. And that's where we got our name too, Rosie Riveters. Well, I tell you, 2000, I heard that they were going to restore it. Since I remember, I had been working on the nose section, so I went to volunteer. Oh, I never thought I would see it like this because it came from the desert. They brought it in pieces. And then when they brought it in, only 7 of the rivets were missing. All the rest are the original ones that I put in when I was 18. Oh, it's right there. I see you.
There's a lot of people here that don't realize what it has taken to do that.
Really appreciate all of the volunteers in California, as well as all of the volunteers, especially in Wichita, Kansas. God bless them. We needed everyone's specific talent to accomplish it.
That's it. It looks good.
What a historical moment.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
What sticks out to me is the size of the propellers. Am I as tall as one of them? Ugh. How'd I do?
You did great. You did great.
Awesome. Did I almost reach the top?
Not even close.
Oh, shoot.
12 feet.
What is the height on this?
Well, it's 16 feet 8 inches from here to the top.
All
To the
right.
next one, so it's 8 feet. Well, up there, that's probably 12, 13 feet, something like that.
Okay.